Especialista en el manejo de plagas estructurales, urbanas y servicios de salud pública, y es director fundador del Pest Control Associates, AMB de la India. Él nos hablará sobre los servicios de manejo integrado de plagas urbanas en medio de la pandemia del COVID-19. Esta charla está auspiciada por la Pest Control Association, AMB de la India. Viren, te escuchamos, por favor. Adelante.
Hola, friends. This is Viren Merchant from India, and I'm here to share some of my experiences of being in the pest management industry for the past 20 years. The topic of discussion is the integrated pest management services in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. We've all experienced something very new. No one in the world has seen something like this happen to us. Our industry has seen the banking crisis of 2008. We have seen different financial crises in the past, but no one in the world has seen an impact like what we have seen in the COVID-19 pandemic. So herewith, I start sharing my experiences, which will be beneficial for all the audience. So let's start with introspection, because usually, when presentations are given, we are used to a first slide as introduction, but currently the topic is such that it's more of introspection than any introduction. COVID-19 has created an impact on the IPM business and the way it is being conducted. So for us, it's very important to stop, relax, and not panic. It's time to gain a perspective that how we as an industry need to stand up to these current situations. This pandemic is a health crisis like we've never seen before. And it's no surprise that it's come up with disruptions in our business. Businesses are shutting down. Economies are being impacted, and a lot of economies across the globe have crashed. Liquidity and cash flows have been impacted, restrained, and limited. And hence the growth strategies of all commercial entities and businesses across the globe have been impacted. If you create an analysis, if there is some analysis that is looked into about the current impact of COVID-19, you'll see that there are concerns with consumer discretionary sectors where our end user or the stakeholder or the client is considering whether I need to spend money on a service. So we unfortunately have been impacted where people still consider us as a non-essential sector for business services. Clients have avoided IPM services not just for the money, but also they don't want people our service technicians coming into their house or their office in the fear of infections. The IPM industry had to create a lot of importance, create an awareness of its importance to the public, so that they realize that we are actually a public health services industry. We protect public health and food. So IPM industry in this entire impact of COVID-19 has also found a new positive, we have got an opportunity to carry out property disinfection services. So let's look at the impact of COVID-19 on the IPM industry. In the initial phase of the pandemic, we all saw a rise in demand for property disinfection services. It was a new revenue stream for the industry, and the advantage in the start of the pandemic in 2020, somewhere in March, April, was that people were ready to pay any price for carrying out disinfection services. However, as time passed by, things got streamlined and the fear factor came down. So because of that, the demand subsequently stagnated. The strict country-wise lockdowns, which we've seen across the globe, across different continents, that has caused a major slowdown to the IPM business. Some have, in fact, temporarily shut down in different parts of the world. The whole aspect that needs to be considered is there is a cascading cyclic economic impact on the IPM industry. Clients that were our revenue stream, they slowed down. Now, if the client slows down, the impact subsequently comes on us because we do not have opportunities to conduct our business. Then the concept of work from home, it was a serious impact on the pest management industry. Clients have given up their properties. They have given up on rental agreements because they need to save money, and they have found that it was very beneficial for them to have their staff work from home. And some places they also thought that remote working was helping them with efficiency. If you see these sectors, the IT, the information technology sector, the financial services sector, back office setups where everything is on telecommunications, these segments adopted to work from home. Now, these were our clients for the pest management industry, and we have lost business there. So people who did not invest in real estate, automatically all the maintenance services, including pest management, have gone down. Now, they say nearly 40% of companies have delayed their revenue generating initiatives for few months since the lockdown began. So right from 2020, when this research paper came up, they have seen that several corporations across the globe, large businesses, have delayed projects, delayed their investments. On these aspects, the pest control industry has lost opportunities to carry out business, and everyone wants to cut costs and have services at lower prices. Now, these lower spendings have had an impact on the pest management industry. However, everything is not negative and tough for the industry. We have to think positively. Just take, for example, this child who was born and got COVID. But after 16 days, this child survived COVID-19 and he is very healthy and alive today. So let's look at the positives. Disinfection service was a new revenue stream for our industry. Facility disinfection services helped us manage a lot of our loss of other annual contract businesses by having places like banks and other services sectors where, even with the lockdown, since they were considered as essential services, those businesses had to function. They had to call people. So they wanted facility disinfection services so that they can work in peace and they do not get impacted with COVID-19. So that was a good opportunity for the pest control business. And we've a lot of industries, we know a lot of businesses, for them this was probably their best year because they got a chance to make good profits and revenue through these disinfection services. The other opportunity through disinfection services that we received was that we got a chance to get into new industry segments. There were certain critical segments like pharmaceuticals who never used to involve external pest control into their facility and kept it mostly on the outer surface of their industry, of their properties. Now, because they wanted disinfection, you had an access to internal areas, and it became new contracts, new opportunity for business for the pest control industry. The industry has significantly gained through the disinfection services that they have carried out. Across geographies, governments and local authorities have now recognized pest control industry as an essential health service. This increase in awareness is now in turn helping our industry gain new business, and there is a chance to grow back our contracts. So this recognition has really helped. Further, there were certain countries where you say, like the United States and Europe, in certain countries where pest control was immediately, when the first impact of COVID-19 happened in January 2020, they were immediately recognized as essential, and that allowed pest control services in their respective countries to operate without any lockdowns. That was very useful and very supportive to the growth of their business. As I said, some pest control companies have had their best years. So we have seen companies pivot towards disinfection management in their business strategies apart from pest control services. What are the strategies that the pest management industry has adopted during the COVID-19 pandemic? If you see there, when the pandemic kicked in, there were certain things that were forced onto our industry. Foremost was minimizing contact, so minimizing human presence. Clients were scared about our technicians reaching their facilities because they thought that it could be it could cause infections and spread of infections. Hence, the focus was to do only exterior perimeter services. Now, this was a significant change for our industry, because whenever we take up a facility, we have to reach out to all likely pest harborage areas. However, the industry adopted. The other refreshing change was the use of technology. You could do online inspections where the client is using a web camera or using a WhatsApp video call to show you around their premises where they are facing pest impact, so that you are minimizing the number of times the person visits a particular place. So by those online inspections, you were able to create a service plan and limit the number of visits to a site. In the US, they did a research where they said that nearly 46% of the pest management professionals were only doing perimeter services in the March-June period, for when this survey was done for PCT by the Redex research agency. This clearly shows a realignment of service strategy. Commercial segment for us, for all majority of the pest control companies across the globe, commercial segment is where the real scope for revenue earning is for majority of PMPs. But in COVID-19, it just flipped. Everything just changed. There was a major disruption. It was no longer a safe bet to focus your entire business only on commercial jobs. We had to adapt and shift towards residential sector, because no one was attending offices and majority of people were in their homes. So the shift in trying to reach out to residential jobs more was a major strategy change for most of the pest control companies across the globe. Further, there was deeper analysis where we had to find out which commercial segments were more active. So the entire production or the manufacturing segment had to continue. So after the initial lockdown, globally everywhere, manufacturing started, and specifically the food manufacturing segment, it never stopped, because food is essential part of the survival of human beings. So pest management professionals had to divert their attention and focus towards services for the food production industry, and that created a new realignment of service strategy. Now, another part of the strategy that pest management professionals had to take or should approach in these times of the COVID-19 pandemic is to be very consumer centric in their approach and be very sensitive, because the clients themselves are under pressure. The whole impact is that all different cycles of the entire liquidity flow of revenue in the world, every different segment has its own challenges. Hence, as pest management professionals, we had to be more sensitive in our approach towards dealing with them. It was very important that you had to listen, keep your ears grounded to the consumer's need. You had to listen to them. It was important to create a connect with your consumers so that it helps build trust. And such kind of relationships are always mutually rewarding. So it was important to create that connect. Further, it is very important to understand the pressure points of your consumer. Whatever segments of business that a pest control professional has, it's important for him to analyze what are the different pressure points and ask for genuine feedback from the client. For whatever service you deliver, there needs to be a specific way of requesting for a feedback so that you get a fair knowledge of what the client is thinking when he is taking your services. And in that, you would have an opportunity to consolidate your brand and also look at new avenues for work with them. It's very important to have a foresight on how consumer landscape is constantly changing. It's very crucial. The another concept in the strategy in this pandemic is to follow the age-old principle, the PARETO'S principle. It is so crucial in the current times, and it's become more significant. What does the Pareto principle say? It says that 80% of what you earn, your revenues, come from the 20% of your loyal customer base. Hence, you may have been impacted by losing some business, but please identify, as a pest control company, please identify those core 20% of your loyal customer base and give them your best communication and support and service, because they will help you with a reward of very high revenue. By retaining them, you are also creating an opportunity to grow through them. So Pareto's principle is a fantastic strategy for all pest control companies across the globe to have a resource optimization within their organization, so that it is not just cost effective, but it is also rewarding in terms of better revenue and better contracts. It's important to have a strategy to reanalyze your marketing plan with COVID-19 in mind. In these times, one needs to respond to changes in real time. There are changes that are happening back to back. Every week, you're seeing some new changes that are happening. Hence, as a pest management business owner, it's very important for you to learn and keep on learning, as there is no silver bullet to sort or manage this pandemic situation. There are some times where one should trigger as a leader to first take a step back, reevaluate one's plans, recenter the thinking, and then focus on what one should do next. So it's a lot of calm collective strategies that are required. Currently, keeping one's business in front of your client or your audience or your consumers is important because it helps create a perception of your brand. Even if they are not doing business with you, please keep your brand in front of them by good quality communication. It is predicted that Europe and US economies could probably take 3 years to cover up this pandemic crisis. Now, this is just a research of the past times. You never know how the changes have happened, and it may take more time. And these similar conditions will affect Latin America, the Asian markets, and the other Pacific markets. So all regions will have their own predicted years to come out of these crises. What are the good strategies for pest control companies, post this impact of COVID-19? Good marketing at its core has to include a deep understanding of your target market, their day-to-day lives, their challenges, their joys, their perspective to world around them. Now, for us in the past, we were not so much keen to know how my clients' day-to-day activities are running. But now, since COVID-19, it's very important because you never know where and what new opportunities could arise based on what you monitor through your monitor for your target audience. So once you understand these aspects, these above 4 points, then you take into consideration the current circumstances and you can figure out how your own brand fits into the client's story. So you have to position your pest control company's image or your brand into your client's story so that the client feels you are part of them. Many of those things that we once were knowledgeable about our target audience, maybe how we used to think food industry operates in a certain way, manufacturing operates in a certain way, banking sector operates in a certain way. This was all pre-COVID. We had our learnings, but everything has changed. So it is very important that there is no set playbook in this. Every week, every month, whatever changes are happening in your target audience's industry, please listen, understand, and keep it in mind when you're doing your marketing strategy to grow your business. This is one wonderful statement that I like from Mark Zuckerberg, for the Facebook founder. And it clearly states that the value of trust, a reference from a trusted friend, is what helps us grow with new references. So please value it. Keep your strategy such that you always remain a trusted friend for your client. Now, the other aspect that we have to consider for our industry is that pests don't follow lockdowns. Do we feel that the pest issues reduced when COVID-19 happened? No. Pests, in fact, had a free pass because your offices, your banks, your client facilities, they were empty. So who's going to enjoy the place? It was the pests. As long as there was lack of human activity or human presence, the pests felt that they were the kings of these human structures. Rodents, mosquitoes, termites, infestations of these three have increased for most of the pest control markets across the globe. A lot of pest control companies have come forward and shared this feedback that they feel that rodent issues, mosquito issues, and termite issues have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. Rodents and mosquitoes have become a serious concern for residential areas because all humans that used to work 8-10 hours in their offices or in different commercial areas now all are at home. So more humans, more carbon dioxide being emitted, mosquitoes being attracted, a lot of maintenance activities slowing down. So there are conditions that are allowing harborage of rodents and mosquitoes. So residential sector required more amount of mosquito control and rodent control services. It was a good opportunity to create more revenue through these services in the residential sector. The unusual part of termites was that if a lot of companies which gave feedback, pest control companies, they said that they have seen more termites in residential houses with the household members being inside during the lockdown. Now it's it's scientifically, it's still got to be analyzed, but again, it created a demand for service. It created a new opportunity because people cannot afford their houses to come down due to termite impact. Their cupboards and their furnitures, fixtures were affected. So it was a good opportunity. The other important strategy that I would suggest in these times is have a strong communication channel. Communication remains the key to successful business operations. It's important that both your internal and external stakeholders, you need to maintain a strong sense of communication during that time. Even your own staff, they must feel that you as pest management business owners are thinking about them. You care for them. You are there for them so that you're there to protect them. It was very important to have in these COVID protection health policies for all your field staff, because they were the frontline workers who are out there servicing your clients, and they were like out there facing the chances of contracting infections. So it was important to carry out vaccinations for them. It was very important to give them regular, updated safety training. It was very important to give them the best possible PPEs, personal protective equipments, right from mask to your entire PPE suit. Everything was very key. That is part of your communication and your actions within your internal stakeholders. Similarly, you need a strategy to communicate constantly with your audience, your clients, your target audience. And it not necessarily has to be only specific to work. It has to be of different forms of communication. That communication could be social, it could be informative, it could relate to a particular situation that is occurring in your geography. So we as a company focus on various aspects. Like you can see, we ensured that our clients know about World Mosquito Day. We focused on the importance of pest control on the World Food Safety Day on 7th June, because we are safeguarding food, and if pests can damage food, it was important to the audience to know that it is we are safeguarding their food produce. So it's important to communicate. That communication connect was very important. We wished our clients during festivals. We have by sharing these messages, at least the client feels that yes, you are thinking about them, and not just for business but for their health and welfare. It was very important to ensure that all these messages were sensitive. So we shared information on World Pest Day. It was important for them to know. We've had the other aspect of communication was that the focus should be on more virtual events where you're not collecting too many people or clients at one place. They are there in their own offices or homes, and you're creating a value based knowledge sharing platform where you can share information virtually with your attendees and focus on takeaways, something that the client can take to learn and improve their health and their family's health. It was another important strategy was to use social media very effectively. Both You have both opportunities to use the free as well as the paid social media, and it's a fantastic way to reach out to a large audience and great return of investments at lower cost. So most pest control companies can look at creating a digital platform where they are regularly sharing webinars and discussions with their target audience. Now, to conclude, as my closing note, COVID-19 has been tough on our pest control industry, but it's important that business strategy in these times of the pandemic must lean towards communication, brand building, and relationships. They are priceless. They are invaluable. Focus on that. The right strategy that resonates with your stakeholders, your target audience, one's business subsequently can be in a good position to retain your market share or even probably gain and grow your market share as the economic activity normalizes across the globe, across different countries. The pandemic has resulted in challenges and business disruptions. Hence, it is crucial for us as management business owners to adapt, innovate, and focus on positives. I thank Mauricio and all the team members of this conference, and I wish and pray for all of your good health. Gracias.